Welcome, and we're going to move along with our meeting. It's always a problem when you wear glasses, but you don't wear them short. You only wear them long. You know. Anybody from the public looking to have a presentation?
No speakers.
No speakers?
No public speakers.
That would have been nice for a few times during the day today, I think. At least one I have in mind, I think.
The minutes approval.
The minutes for the last meeting up for approval?
So moved.
Any other items that we need to bring up at the moment?
The work plan, there are no changes to the work plan.
Thank you. And we have a couple of new and interesting items that are on the agenda today. And Michael, why don't you begin?
Yes, great. Thank you, John. I wanted to first announce the hiring. At one given point in time, we had 9 openings in our staff, and now we currently have 1 vacancy. And I want to introduce Joyce Brown, who is our new Deputy Chief Diversity Officer for EEO and Title VI. We hired her from MARTA, and she's been with us every bit of 3 weeks. Welcome, Joyce. We hired James Wilson, who is a new DVE certification manager. He comes to us by way of Hofstra University. And Naeem Stewart, Stewart's last name, Rimbaud. Stewart is our new MW DVE IT person who is going to now be in charge of ensuring that our MW DVE data is accurately reported to not only to this board but also to the FTA and to ESD. And so this is well needed staff. We're starting to see some improvements already, and so welcome. First item of business is the outreach efforts and results. See?
Good afternoon. So the Department of Diversity and Civil Rights continues to take the lead on the outreach events, and in front of you, you have the outreach events that we have actually participated in or are planning for the next 3 months. One of the highlights that we've had, a couple of highlights that we've had, is the Fix and Fortify Sandy Recovery Work Forum, which was an all-agency conference held at the Schomburg, and we are now finalizing our program outline for the 7th Annual MWBE Annual Conference on Contracting Opportunities, which is also going to be an agency-wide participation. Thank you.
And that's scheduled for June 1st at CUNY, at the CUNY Graduate Center.
Scheduled for, yes.
And it is an opportunity for all of our certified MWDB firms and our agencies and our third-party contractors and consultants to market and to talk to each other as we drive our MWBE results.
And we currently have over 170 firms registered for that so far.
DBE certification.
DBE certification, far as the first quarter applications received, is 23. Not much difference in 215 and 214. And as far as certifications activities concerned, we have certified, denied, returned, or withdrawn 29 firms, which is an increase over the last couple of years.
Great, thank you. Naeem Din.
Thank you, Mike. I will speak about the EEO and Title VI complaints. This covers the period January through March of 2016. For this reporting period, there were a total of 367 complaints. This includes complaints filed internally as well as complaints filed with the external anti-discrimination agencies. 151 were externally filed and 216 were filed with our EEO offices internally. And for the external complaints, Mr. Chairman, the most frequently basis for the complaint was disability discrimination, race, color discrimination, as well as the miscellaneous types of discrimination. This is similar to what we reported last time, and I mean, as far as the frequency of bases for complaints are concerned. And for the internal complaints, there were 216 complaints in which race discrimination, sexual harassment, and other types of miscellaneous discrimination was frequently cited. And between January and March, the agencies also handled Title VI complaints. There were 124 complaints handled for this period, of which alleged 132 separate allegations, and by vast majority of these complaints, race discrimination was cited as the basis for the complaint. The following along on pages 28 and 29, we have a breakdown of the complaints by the basis on which the complaint was filed, as well as the agencies at which the complaints were filed internally and externally. And after that, we have a breakdown of the Title VI complaints handled by the agency. As you can see, there were none at headquarters, capital construction, or bridges and tunnels. Actually, and following that, we have a disposition of these complaints. EEO, and then on page 32, we have a disposition of Title VI. Page 32 begins with the EEO complaints at MTA headquarters specifically, and those are cited there. As you can see, the internal and external complaints, the numbers are just about the same. And following that, we have a disposition of the EEO and Title VI complaints at MTA headquarters.
Great, thank you. And now we're going to have a presentation from HR on their or our MTA all agency military recruitment, as requested by the Vice Chairman Malloy, and also Susan Mesker.
Good afternoon. Wow, that's loud. I'm Maggie Connor. It's a pleasure to be here and to be speaking about something other than pensions, the yawn-inducing subject I'm normally speaking about. This is an issue, actually, that I'm very, very passionate about. In 2013, Chairman Prendergast gave me the authority to dedicate one whole resource, very well-compensated resource, to targeting our recruitment on the military, and in doing it in an all-agency basis. And many of you have already been privileged to meet with Aleda Myers, who handles the all-agency military recruitment. And I'm sorry, Pat, I know I stole her from the Transit Authority. But Aleda was a particularly well-suited candidate because she had already been dedicated to the recruiting of the military. So she had already really made quite inroads into the military and introducing the MTA really as an employer of choice with the military. But what is even more important about Aleda and this program is that Aleda has been successful in creating what I like to call, and I hope it's not derogatory, baby Aledas, young HR folks that are really, really interested. So when I talk about this as being an all-agency recruitment, it's not headquarters. It's every single one of our agencies have isolated very talented HR folks that are very passionate about this as well. And again, I'm so glad to be here to talk about something other than pension and something that I am really passionate about. So looking at page 1, it really gives you a quick snapshot of the number of military hires we're doing. And before someone says, wow, 259, that doesn't sound like a lot of people when you talk about 65,000 employees, it's important to note that's about 5% of our annual hires. And the availability of military folks, and when I say military, I'm not talking about vets, I'm talking about our Coast Guard, I'm talking about our National Guard, I'm talking about that group of folks. So that's about 1% of our available workforce, and we're tracking about 5% of our new hires. So again, I think this is a wonderful effort that's being done on an all-agency basis with people who are going out to the bases. They're training our HR folks on how to read military resume, and again, as Aleda keeps saying, making the MTA an employer of choice for our military. So again, I don't have the little control panel, but I think I'd really actually, again, like to jump to the last page, page 7, and that really outlines and illustrates that this is an all-agency HR initiative, that every single agency has dedicated their folks, and they spend a lot of time and a lot of energy and an awful lot of passion doing this. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I presume, Maggie, when you said, I don't mean vets, I mean Coast Guard and National Guard, that you really meant in addition to vets.
Correct.
Coast Guard
You know,
and
a lot of
National
time we say hiring vets, and I just want to say it's military. It's people who are currently in the military, people who are Coast Guard, National Guard, anything that touches the defense of our nation. Thank you, thank you.
I only wish that Neil Zuckerman were here to hear this, because he is a vet, too.
Neil was the one who originally spoke to me, and I did get a chance to speak to him today, and I showed him what was in here, and he was very pleased with it, so I'm glad to see it.
I'm sorry, because I'm passionate about this. I just want to make sure you know that we also run recruitment and training. We also go out to the bases and help the, actually the active military on how to change the resumes, to translate it from military to English speak. I mean, not only are we interested in employing them at the MTA, but making sure they're employable as they come out of the workforce, because it's the right thing to do.
Well, this is the, for us, this is just a starter. I'd like to see us to continue and advance this across the board, and I'm glad to see it as part of the diversity lineup and as a long-term part of that diversity lineup. So, and I thank you for all your efforts.
Great. George, Small Business Mentoring Program.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Our mission statement basically is to make sure that our emerging contractors complete our projects safely, timely, and within budget. Next slide. Next slide show Tier 1 and the number of pre-qualified firms, and it's broken down by their counties as well as their certification. This slide shows all three programs. We have a total of 203 firms that are currently pre-qualified in the programs. This next slide, demographics, showing the last 8 months, showing the number of hires, and not hires, but firms that have been pre-qualified over the last 8 months, in September 1st of 2015 to April 30th of 2016, and it's broken down by ethnicity. This next slide shows firms that are currently pending application, and we have 53 firms that are in the pipeline, and we are focusing and targeting three groups: Black, Hispanic, and Asian Pacific. And you could see here we have 15 firms that are currently in the pipeline. Hispanic, we got eight Hispanic firms, and then we got 3 Asian Pacific firms that are currently going through the pre-qualification process. Over the last 6 years, this slide shows all the contracts that have been awarded, the total number of contracts awarded, 226, and the total dollar amount associated with those awards, $204 million. The next three slides, slide 41, 42, and 43, shows contracts that were awarded by ethnicity for each of the program, Tier 1, Tier 2, as well as federal program. Slide number 44. This is our loan program. Very excited about this this program. We continue to do some good things for our contractors. Over the last 6 years, we have had 73 loans totaling $9.6 million, and that's going to be climbing in the next 2 or 3 months. This next slide, I'm going to turn it over to Michael. We're very excited about this program. Michael will talk more about it, but this program will assist our increase our participation in Blacks, Hispanics, and Asian Pacific ethnic firms. So go ahead, Mike.
So, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vice Chairman and Susan, we heard you loud and clear when we were here about 6-8 months ago. We changed state law. We created this program with the idea of admitting firms who have been historically excluded from the MTA and in the construction industry. And we woke up and we saw that we had created a pre-qualification process that was not allowing these emerging firms to get into this specialized program that we changed state law. And so we came up with a new emerging program, which is going to allow us to recruit and admit companies who, under ordinary circumstances, would not be admitted to this program. And we're going to put them on a fast track. We're going to train them with our mandatory courses. We're going to expose them to access to capital and bonding. And we're going to allow them to bid on projects up to $100,000 for 1 year in that time period. And so if you turn to page 47, there are 31 companies who will be admitted to this program when this program starts on September 1st. This is going to be the first class of emerging contractors who would be admitted to this program and under ordinary circumstances would not have been pre-qualified for this program because of our requirements. And the 31 pool is a very, very diverse pool of contractors. And we believe that with the focus now of advertising in the ethnic media in this program here and going out and recruiting from a more broader, diverse pool of associations and groups, trade groups, that we will improve the contract of awards to our ethnic minority firms as we move forward in this program.
Any other questions? Susan?
These people, or these firms, didn't meet the standards that you had for the
Right.
original program.
Yes.
Did they have to meet some standards to get into this one?
Yes, they did.
And are they geographically diverse amongst all of our regions?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I would say yes, they are.
And how long is it? So they've got a year to go through this program?
Yes, a year, and then basically, if they do well in this program, they would automatically be migrated into the regular program.
Okay.
And
From
so
what I gather, this allows them the ability to get involved without biting off too much in the beginning. Kind of learn the ropes of who we are, what our requirements are, and to be able to handle a project and manage a project, and then work it to the next step.
Yes. And allowing this pool of emerging contractors to bid on contracts up to $100,000, we are further mitigating our risk and exposure as well. And so it's the same adage. These firms will have the ability to learn, earn, and grow at the same time.
Smaller firms than
Yes, they
we
are.
normally see?
Right, yes, they are. George?
Yep, continuing on, page 48, some more performance results. All the projects that we have had over the years have contributed to approximately 4,800 jobs in the 14 service region. Also, bid solicitation, we have had 226 bid solicitation and 1,100 bidding opportunities. In our classroom training, we've had 318 firms that have participated in the training program. And this past spring, which we're completing the training class this Thursday, we have had an average of 40 firms that have attended each class. Next slide just basically shows the class, titles of those classes, as well as letting you know that in the fall, our fall class starts September 3rd. The next slide shows our forecast over the next 5 years. We're forecasting $500 million, $501 million put into the program, as well as 430 projects. And we anticipate that that'll create roughly 12,000 jobs in the process. Our next step, as we continue to recruit, we will focus on ethnic trade and groups and association. We'll also advertise in ethnic group media outlet. And we have 3 RFP that is currently out on the street. Should be getting it back within a relatively short period of time. Got the Construction Management Services RFP, as well as the Business Development Services RFP, and the Loan Program RFP. And that concludes my presentation.
Let me add on the Scope A and Scope B CM firms who we are going to hire. 96 during the first 6 years of this program, 96% of the resources was going for CM services. So we wanted to separate CM services for Scope A and business development services for Scope B to make sure that there are adequate resources allocated to both sides of the equation. Gwen Harrelson, MWDB Contract Compliance.
Good afternoon. The DBE report, page 54, please. The DBE report that I'm about to present to you are only estimates at this time. We're in the process of vetting all the information, and the information at this time has not been reported to the FTA. MTA's annual DBE goal is 17%. From October 2015 to March 2016, MTA awarded approximately $487 million in the federally funded portion of contracts. Of this amount, approximately $51 million, or 10%, was awarded to certified DBEs. During the same reporting period, MTA paid prime contractors approximately $848 million, with payments to certified DBEs totaling about $150 million, or 18%. Page 60. MTA's MWBE goal is 30%. From April 1st, 2015, MTA awarded approximately $2.3 billion in New York State-funded contracts, with $224 million, or 10%, being awarded to certified MWBEs. During the same reporting period, MTA paid $1.4 billion on prime contracts, with over $316 million, or 23%, paid to certified MWBEs. Page 67. Between April 2015 to March 2016, MTA's total New York State-funded procurements were $2.3 billion, with $261 million, or 11%, of the total awards going to MWBEs. Page 68. For MTA awarded $263 million on contracts that were $200,000 or less. Of these discretionary procurements, approximately $29 million, or 11%, were awarded to MWBEs, and approximately $16 million, or 6%, awarded to SBCs.
Let me add also that level of $200K is now being increased to $400,000. So now the agencies have the ability to go out to a pool of MWBE firms and get pricing without going out for bidding. The MTA in this year's budget, we're the only agency in the state that increased this from $200,000 to $400,000 as a vehicle of increasing contract awards to our pool of certified firms. Let me also add that starting in September, in the area of IT, legal services, and A&E, we are going to be reporting the agency's results at this board meeting. And so if you turn to the next page, B&T was the only agency to issue awards under this new state law. And so we're going to be working with all of the agencies to make sure that they fully utilize this new tool that we have, and once again, getting these contract limits increased up to $400,000.
Okay. On page 71, this is just to show you that DDCR processed 1,048 contract closeouts. The initial backlog was 968. We've cleared that up, and we're proactively moving forward with closing out contracts in a more timely manner. Page 74. Between September 2015 and April 2016, DDCR has conducted a total of 354 site visits as a result of the IG's audit recommendation that was issued in August of 2015. We are projecting to conduct at least 50 site visits per month moving forward.
You take a moment just to describe what we do out in the field?
When we go on a site visit,
Yes.
what we do is interview the certified MWDBE subcontractors. We speak to the prime if they're on site, most times they are. We review certified payrolls, and we look at the workers' IDs. We look at the work that's performed, and we take photos of that work that has been performed by certified MWDBEs and make it part of the record. They will interview certain subcontractors, MWDBE subcontractors on site at the time of the visit.
Okay, thank you.
Legal services, for the year, there was 10.5% MWB inclusion. I'm extremely optimistic that via the help with the agencies and our EEO officers, Sean and others, that the current legal services RFP that's out on the street right now, we are currently going over it and vetting it, not vetting it, but scoring to make sure that there's going to be a diverse pool of law firms that's going to be retained via this most recent RFP for legal services. And once again, we're going to be monitoring this, and we are also going to be reporting the agency's results with respect to the number of fees that's being assigned to New York State certified MNWB law firms. And mind you that this is the first time that we've gone out with an RFP for legal services since 2004 or 2006, Sean? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mike, you just got through saying that you're preparing to score these contestants. Is that outside of a selection committee rubric or
No,
independent of that?
It's inclusive. So basically, we have a number of our staff who is sitting on the selection committee, focusing on the diversity of the law firms who we are going to retain for this new contract. And so they are part of the overall committee. Second, on the underwriter fees, there is a current RFP that we are also scoring the firms as we currently speak right now. And the same focus is going to be on this to make sure that there's going to be a diverse pool of senior managers and co-managers that can assist us in driving our MWBE results in the area of investment banking. And so if you look, the results have been great. 37% of the fees that we paid during the last year have been paid to certified firms. However, we need to do a more effective job of bringing in certified WBEs, because if you look at our current metrics, 33% of the fees that were paid during the year were paid to certify MBEs, 3% were paid to WBEs. And so as we score the firms, we are keeping that in effect, that we must maximize the number of DBE firms who are going to be part of this syndicate.
And are we also looking to prioritize with respect to New York firms?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. That's
what extent?
That's one of the conversations that we are currently having right now, and I would bring that message back to the committee that we should be focusing on New York-based firms. Got it.
It'd be nice if we could hire New Yorkers.
Right. Yeah, I'm in agreement. Asset fund managers, basically the dialogue is being started or has been started with Bob Ferran and also our new CIO. There's a major MWBE Asset Fund Manager Conference that's going to be held here in the city in June. We are also talking about the Emerging Manager Program, the Emerging MWB Manager Program that's employed by both the City Controller and the State Controller, about if that kind of model could like also reside here as we further our quest to diversify our fund of asset managers.
I have a question about this. Oddly, we had our pension presentation today as well, and included in that were some figures about the minority components, and I tried to align yours with theirs and wasn't really able to do it because each of you has separated funds in a different way. The one number that I was sure was the same was exactly the same, so I was very happy about that. But the way things are put together defines whether or not we have any minority participations. So I started looking into it a little bit more, and it would seem that some of the traditional kinds of funds have minority managers.
29%.
Some of the more esoteric funds do not.
Right.
And that doesn't strike me as unusual.
Right.
I think that the pool of minority fund managers for those like hedge funds and things is smaller. So I was also curious to discover that only about 5% of the managers are minority firms under our definition. So all that said, when I look at some of the funds, I think you're doing pretty well.
Right.
And a program that helps people to learn how to do this would definitely be of use.
Definitely.
On the other hand, I also kind of feel that our responsibility for pension funds is a little bit different than our responsibility at the MTA, because we have a greater good at the MTA, but this is people's money.
Right.
And their lives. So I think we have to be especially vigilant that we get very, very good managers.
Definitely, and I'm in total agreement. I think what you're like really saying is that we need to balance opportunity versus risk, and that's where the conversation should be focused. And if there's areas in which there are smaller pools of firms, then what are we going to do to make sure that we can develop that pool?
Yeah, I think that the risk concept is a very important one, because our fund managers tend to be a little bit more conservative than I would want to be for myself. But when it's somebody else's money,
Right.
I get very conservative.
I'm in agreement. Gwen?
Okay. On page 85, between April and September 2015, 28% of federally funded capital projects were awarded to certified DBEs, which exceeds MTA's DBE goal of 17%. During the same reporting period, on page 86, MTA awarded 21% to MWBEs, 11% MBE, and 10% WBE.
Great. Let me just end by saying I want to just take this opportunity to thank the staff as we're building our team. I'm leaving here some nights at 7, 8 o'clock. I still have staff here. That's working. So they live, eat, sleep, and breathe MWB inclusion. I want to also thank the board bringing focus to these programs and making sure that we are held accountable in order to drive results. and I thank you for your focus.
You know, I just want to say that having been here for a fairly long time now, you've always had a spectacular staff, and the agencies have always had people that really knew what they were doing. It's a lot of the programs that have been developed here at MTA and are being used elsewhere, and that is a credit to the people who work here and at all of the agencies.
Thank you.
Excellent all the way around, and again, I want to welcome our two new members who I had the pleasure of meeting Friday morning, and they'll keep us on our toes. I want to thank you both, and thank everyone else, and any other business?
That's it.
Motion to adjourn?